the cold steel of the gun pressed against my temple. And I remember thinking, this is what rock bottom feels like, betrayed by the two people I loved most. My husband's finger tightened on the trigger, his eyes gleaming with that fake sorrow he'd practiced in the mirror, while my sister whispered, "It's for the best."
Oak.
You're the problem. The shot rang out like a thunderclap in our empty Hamptons Beach house. And everything went black, my blood pooling on the white shag rug we'd picked out together on a whim in Soho.
But death?
It was a glitch. A cosmic do-over I didn't sign up for. 1 second, I'm choking on my own blood, tasting copper and regret. The next, I'm gasping awake in a cramped Brooklyn studio apartment, the kind with exposed brick and a fire escape that rattles in the wind. It's 2022, not 2025. My hands, younger, unscarred, fly to my face, and I stumble to the mirror. There I am, Oakley Harper, 25, wide-eyed and alive. 3 years before the night that ended me. The betrayal hasn't happened yet. But I remember every lie, every stolen kiss between my husband-to-be and my own flesh and blood sister. This time, I'm not the victim. This time, I'm the storm. I collapsed onto the sagging futon, heart pounding like a jackhammer. The air smelled of stale coffee and the lavender candle I'd burned obsessively back then, trying to ward off the anxiety that clawed at me daily. My phone buzzed on the coffee table, texts from work, from friends, from him. Ethan Caldwell, the charming venture capitalist I'd met at a rooftop party in the meatpacking district, the man who'd sweep me off my feet with promises of forever. In my first life, he'd been my anchor.
Now,
he was the anchor dragging me to the bottom. I scrolled through the messages, each one a dagger twisting in my gut. Miss you already,
babe.
Dinner tonight? XO Ethan. God, the innocence of it all. If only I could warn that wide-eyed girl staring back from the screen. But I was her. Or I would be, until I rewrote the script. The secret they'd buried, the one that led to my suicide, wasn't just an affair. It was embezzlement. Ethan had been siphoning funds from his firm, using my name as a front because I was the trustworthy one, the accountant who'd just passed her CPA exam. My sister, Lila, the aspiring actress with dollar signs in her eyes, had egged him on, jealous of my steady climb while she bounced between auditions and waitressing gigs. They'd framed me for it all, painted me as the desperate gold digger cracking under pressure. The board believed them. The cops believed them. And when the noose tightened, figuratively, until it became literal, I pulled the trigger they handed me. Not this time. I deleted the text without replying and stood up, legs shaky but resolve steel hard. The first step? Gather intel. I couldn't just storm in guns blazing. That was their style, not mine.
No.
Revenge required precision, the kind of calculated moves that left them questioning their sanity before the fall. I booted up my ancient laptop, the one with the sticker for my alma mater, NYU, and dove into the digital rabbit hole. Ethan's firm, Caldwell Ventures, was already showing cracks, aggressive investments in crypto startups that screamed bubble. Lila was posting thirst traps on Instagram from her latest gig as a +1 at industry parties. And me? I was the wild card they hadn't accounted for. By noon, I'd mapped it out. Step 1. Fake the vulnerability. I'd go to that dinner, play the doting fiancé, let them think they had me hooked. But underneath, I'd plant the seeds. I called in sick to my entry-level gig at Deloitte. Ironic. since that's where I'd meet Ethan in the original timeline and spent the afternoon forging alliances. First, a call to my old mentor, Mrs. Ramirez, the no-nonsense Latina who'd seen me through late-night cram sessions. Oakley?
Mi niña.
It's been too long. What's eating you? I spun a half-truth. Anxiety about the future. Whispers of trouble at Ethan's firm. She clucked her tongue, promised to poke around discreetly. You deserve better than shadows.
Mia.
Remember that. Next, I reached out to Jamal, my college buddy who'd ghosted after graduation but always had a nose for dirt. Yo.
Oak.
What's good? I fed him just enough, Ethan's flashy lifestyle clashing with his paycheck, to get him sniffing. By evening, I was armed with a smile and a hidden recorder app on my phone. The restaurant was one of those overpriced Italian spots in the village, all exposed brick and candlelight that hid sins in the flicker. Ethan was already there, tie loosened, that boyish grin plastered on like it was permanent. There she is, my better half. He pulled me into a hug that lingered too long, his cologne, sandalwood and lies, making my stomach churn. I forced a laugh, nuzzling into his neck like the lovesick fool he expected. Missed you too. Rough day. We ordered chianti and veal parm, the kind of meal that screamed we're adults now. As the wine flowed, he launched into his pitch, the big promotion, the ring he'd almost bought. Imagine us, Oak, in a brownstone in Brooklyn Heights, hosting brunches with the power couples. I nodded, eyes wide, while my mind raced. Power couples? You mean you and Lila, screwing in the guest room while I balance your books? But aloud, I said, sounds perfect.
But.
Ethan's firm? I heard rumors. Crypto's volatile. Right? His fork paused midair. Just a flicker. Rumors? Baby. It's all smoke. We're diversifying. Lie number 1.
Caught on tape.
I filed it away, sipping my wine like it was antidote. That's when Lila texted, joining for dessert? Miss my big sis. 2 hearts the sisterly bond, another fabrication. In truth, she'd always resented me. The stable job, the straight-A report cards, the parents who doted because I didn't burn through their credit cards on headshots and Botox. She arrived in a whirlwind of perfume and false cheer, sliding into the booth with a kiss on my cheek that felt like frostbite.
Oakley.
You look amazing. Fiancé glow. Ethan chuckled, his hand finding mine under the table, possessive, like I was already property. We ordered tiramisu, and the conversation turned to family. Our parents divorced. Distant, but loaded from Dad's tech startup sale. We're planning a vacation. The Hamptons, naturally. Whole fam. Oak, Ethan said, squeezing my hand. Your turn to shine. Shine? In my first life. That trip was the setup. They'd isolate me, feed me just enough pills and booze to make the suicide believable. A family intervention gone wrong. I smiled through it, but inside, the rage simmered. Can't wait, I said, voice honey-sweet. But what about the finances? Dad's always grilling me on numbers. Lila waved it off.
Oh, please.
Live a little. Ethan nodded, but his eyes darted guilt or calculation as we paid the bill, his treat. Always. I excused myself to the ladies' room. Locked in a stall, I forwarded the recording to a burner email, time-stamped and tagged. Seed planted. Back home, in that shoebox apartment, I paced, The cities hum a distant roar. Sleep evaded me. Instead, nightmares replayed the end. The beach house waves crashing like accusations. Ethan's voice cooing. It's okay.
Oak.
Just rest. The gun heavy in my hand, because they'd convinced me I was the monster.
But now?
I was awake. And monsters don't beg for mercy. The next weeks blurred into a high-wire act. I played the part, gushing over wedding Pinterest boards with Lila, enduring Ethan's late nights with clients. But I was building my arsenal. Mrs. Ramirez came through with a tip. Ethan's partner, a slick guy named Victor, was auditing books quietly. Jamal dug up forum posts, anonymous, but damning, about insider trading at Caldwell. And me? I started siphoning data. Late nights at the office, I'd mirror Ethan's files to an encrypted drive. Embezzlement? I'd mirror it right back. Controversy crept in early. The first real decision that twisted my gut: seduce Victor. Not full on, but enough flirtation over coffee to loosen his tongue. He was older, married, the type who collected indiscretions like baseball cards. Oakley, you're wasted on that boy, he'd say, eyes lingering. I'd laugh it off, but drop hints. Ethan stressed. Numbers not adding up. By month 2, he was mine, an unwitting mole feeding me ledgers that screamed fraud. Lila noticed the shift first. You're different, she said over brunch at Le Pain Quotidien, mimosas bubbling like her suspicion. Glowing, but edgy. What's up? I met her gaze. Green eyes like mine but sharper. Hungrier. Just growing up?
Sis.
You should try it. The barb landed. She flushed, stabbing her avocado toast. That night, she slept with Ethan. I knew because I'd bugged his phone. Their texts, she's clueless. We stick to the plan. The plan. To bleed me dry, then discard. Rage fueled me, but so did fear. What if I became them? The lies, the manipulation, it gnawed at my soul. But then I'd remember the bullet, the betrayal's cold kiss, and steel returned. By fall, I had enough. Proof of the affair, grainy photos from a PI I'd hired on credit. The embezzlement trails. Even a recorded confession from Ethan during a drunken ramble I'd baited. The family vacation loomed. Thanksgiving in the Hamptons. The trap resetting. I booked the Airbnb myself this time. Not the beach house, no ghosts there. A sprawling modern estate with ocean views. Infinity pool. The works. $28,000. Drained from a slush fund I'd quietly rerouted from Ethan's accounts. Controversial? Hell yes. Theft for justice. But as I hit confirm, a thrill shot through me. This villa wasn't for us. It was for the ones who'd raised me right, not blood, but chosen family. Mrs. Ramirez. Jamal. The aunt in Jersey who'd slipped me 20s for textbooks. They'd get the invite. Ethan and Lila, front row seats to the unmasking. The drive up was tense. Ethan at the wheel of his leased Tesla. Lila in the back scrolling TikTok. This place better be worth it, she whined. I smiled from shotgun. Fingers drumming. Trust me. It's explosive. We pulled up to the villa as the sun dipped low, painting the dunes in fiery oranges that mocked the chill in my veins. The estate was a glass and steel monstrosity, all sharp angles and endless windows that reflected our fractured little trio like a funhouse mirror. Ethan whistled, hauling luggage from the trunk.
Damn.
Oak. You went all out. Lila snapped selfies by the pool, captioning later, Hamptons glow up with the fam.
Blessed.
If only she knew the curse barreling toward her. Inside, the place screamed money, marble counters, a wine fridge stocked with bottles that cost more than my old rent. I played hostess, uncorking a Napa Valley cab and forcing small talk about Dad's latest golf handicap. But my mind was a war room. The real guests arrived at dusk, Mrs. Ramirez in a floral wrap dress, Jamal with a six-pack of craft IPAs and that infectious grin, Aunt Rosa from Jersey, her silver hair piled high, hugging me like I was still the kid she'd bailed out of community college tuition.
Mia.
This, too much. But thank you. Ethan's smile tightened at the door. Oak, who's this? I linked arms with Mrs. Ramirez, voice light. My real family. The ones who showed up when blood didn't. Lila's laugh was brittle. Cute. But we're blood. Sis. Jamal clapped Ethan on the back, harder than necessary. Heard you're in VC. Wild times.
Huh?
A crypto crash incoming. The seed of doubt sprouted. I saw it in Ethan's jaw clench. Dinner was a minefield. I catered it in lobster bisque, ribeye with truffle fries, from a spot in East Hampton that charged like it was robbing you blind. We gathered around the long teak table, ocean breeze whispering through open sliders. Toasts clinked, to futures, to love. But under the table, my foot nudged Jamal's, a signal. He launched in casual. So, Ethan, that startup you funded? Vaporware. Right? Investors pissed. Ethan choked on his wine. Old news. We're pivoting. Lila jumped in. Ever the peacemaker for show. Oakley's the numbers was here. She'll vouch. All eyes on me. I set down my fork, the clink echoing like a gavel. Actually,
Yeah.
let's talk numbers. The room stilled. I pulled out my phone, not the burner. The main one, synced to the cloud drive. Ethan's been creative.
See?
I audited the books last week. For fun.
Lies.
But they bought it. I projected the slides onto the wall via AirPlay. Bar graphs spiking red. Transaction logs with my forged signature highlighted. Victor's ledgers danced across the screen. $2.3 million funneled through shell accounts. My name stamped like a scarlet letter. Gasps rippled. Aunt Rosa crossing herself. Mrs. Ramirez muttering Dios mio. Ethan's face drained of color. Oak. What the hell? This is private. Lila's eyes darted between us. Panic rising. Sis. This is a joke. Right? Hackers or something. I leaned back, savoring the shift. No joke. But here's the punchline. It's not just money. It's us. I swiped to photos, blurry but unmistakable. Ethan and Lila, tangled in a hotel sheet in Midtown, time-stamped 6 months ago. Original timeline. But I'd accelerated it with the PI. The room erupted. Jamal, you dog. Mrs. Ramirez, hijo de puta. Aunt Rosa hurled a bread roll at Ethan, who ducked, sputtering denials. Controversy hit like a freight train. Ethan's counter. She's unstable. Been popping Xanax like candy. This is her breakdown. Gaslighting his specialty. Lila sobbed. Oakley, you're scaring everyone. We love you, but the chosen family held firm. Jamal pulled up his phone, showing the forum posts. Mrs. Ramirez nodded to the exit. Call the cops? Me, Joe. This ends now. My heart thundered. The plan was exposure. Not arrest, not yet. But as sirens wailed distant, someone had tipped 911. Doubt crept. Was this revenge, or just trading one cage for another? Ethan lunged for my phone. I sidestepped. Glass shattering underfoot. You think you're smart, he hissed. Close enough for me to smell the fierce wet. We made you.
Oak.
Without us. You're nothing. The cops arrived in under 10. Lights strobing the dunes blue. Statements flew. Fraud. Infidelity. Attempted assault. Ethan's grab. Lila wailed to the officers. My sister's delusional. She's always been jealous. Jealous? Of her scraps? But the evidence mounted. My audit, too clean. Too damning. Victor, tipped off by me hours earlier, had already lawyered up and flipped, emailing affidavits to the DA. By midnight, Ethan and Lila were cuffed in the back of squad cars. The villa's glamour shattered like the wine bottle I'd hurled in triumph. Or was it rage? The chosen family rallied. Hugs. Tears. Jamal cracking dark jokes about karma's a bitch in the Hamptons. But as they loaded up to head back to the city, promising to visit soon, I stood alone on the deck. Waves crashing below like accusations. Rebirth had given me power. But at what cost? I'd stolen.
Leet.
Manipulated. Was I any better? Sleep came fitful. Haunted by what-ifs. Morning brought the press. Venture capital scandal rocks elite circle. Fiancé exposes fraud. My face blurred in the articles. But the whispers would follow. Dad called furious. Disowning both kids for embarrassing the name. Mom, radio silence. As usual. Lila's last text from lockup. You destroyed us. Monster. The flight back to JFK was solo. The $28,000 villa, a hollow victory. I'd invited the real family for a post-Thanksgiving redo in the Maldives, booked on Ethan's black card before the freeze. Beaches. Overwater bungalows. No shadows. Mrs. Ramirez texted, proud of you.
Mia.
Healing starts now. But as the plane taxied, a twist nod, an anonymous email. From a burner. You missed one. Oakley. Check the offshore account. It's bigger than you think. My blood ran cold. Ethan? Lila? Or someone deeper? The embezzlement wasn't just theirs. It traced to Dad's old startup. A web of favors and kickbacks I'd overlooked. The buried secret. I had signed off on the first dummy corp. Years ago. Naive and trusting. My mistake. Their opportunity. Rebirth hadn't erased my complicity. It had illuminated it. Back in Brooklyn, I dove deeper. Days blurred into code cracking, fueled by black coffee and spite. The offshore ledgers revealed it all. Dad's retirement fund was a Ponzi echo. Ethan the middleman. Lila the honey trap for investors. And me, the patsy from day one. Controversial decision to go public. Not just with them, with everything. I leaked to ProPublica. Anonymized but airtight. The story broke nationwide. Tech Dynasty's dirty secrets. How one woman's rebirth exposed a billion-dollar lie. Rebirth. The reporter had twisted my offhand, second chance comment into metaphor. But it fit. Fallout was biblical. Dad's assets frozen. Mom fleeing to Europe. Ethan flipped on everyone for a plea. Lila turning state's evidence to shave years off her sentence.
Me?
Subpoenaed. Grilled. But the feds saw the victim, the survivor. Yet the tension coiled tighter. Paranoia set in, shadows in alleys. Wrong number calls, breathing static. Was it over? Or had I stirred a hornet's nest? Jamal crashed on my couch one night. Post-leak. You did good.
Oak.
But damn. Girls got edge now. Edge or fracture. As we split a pizza, grease slick and comforting. I confess the guilt. I've became the liar to catch the liars. He shrugged. Sometimes the medicine tastes like the poison. But you chose life.
Life.
The word hung, heavy as the gun's echo. Winter hit NYC like a grudge. Snow blanketing the sins. I quit Deloitte, too many ghosts, and freelanced, consulting for nonprofits on fraud detection. Ironic therapy. The Maldives trip loomed, a week of turquoise waters and no cell service. With the chosen crew. Packing. I found the old engagement ring in a drawer. Eth's promise. Now, a paperweight. I hawked it. Added to the villa fund.
Petty?
Maybe.
Cathartic?
Absolutely. But the night before departure, the twist detonated. A knock at 2 a.m. Victor.
Disheveled.
Bottle in hand. Oakley?
I
had to warn you. Inside. Over whiskey. He spilled. Ethan's not the architect. It's Marcus Hale. The firm's silent partner. A ghost from Dad's startup days. Hale had orchestrated it all, using me as bait because, in the first timeline, I'd almost uncovered him before the suicide. Hale pulled strings to make it look self-inflicted.
And now?
He was coming for round 2. My world tilted. Rebirth wasn't random. It was his failsafe. A rumor he'd whispered to a shady neurotech doc about consciousness uploads as metaphor for second chances. No, paranoia? Or truth? Victor handed over a drive. Hale's kill list. My name circled.
Twice.
Dawn broke gray as I boarded the flight to Malé. Drive tucked in my carry-on. The villa waited, $28K paradise for the loyal. But as the plane climbed, I gripped the armrest. Mind racing. Revenge wasn't done. It had levels. And Hale? He was the boss fight. The Maldives hit like a dream deferred, powdery sands. Water so clear it mocked the murk of my past. The overwater villa was obscene luxury. Private plunge pool. Butler service. Hammocks swaying like forgotten promises. Mrs. Ramirez claimed the master suite, declaring, "This is what winning looks like."
Mia.
Jamal dove straight into the lagoon, whooping about Shark Week, minus the jaws. Aunt Rosa set up a rosary station on the deck, her prayers a soft counterpoint to the waves. For 3 days, it was bliss. Snorkeling atolls teeming with parrotfish. Sunset yoga, where I finally breathed without armor. No Ethan. No Lila. No Hale, just healing in hues of aquamarine. But the drive burned in my bag like contraband. Victor's warning looped. Hale. The tycoon phantom. Architect of empires and ends. I'd Googled him mid-flight, discreetly. VPN on. Marcus Hale, 58, reclusive billionaire. Founder of Hale Dynamics, the drone firm that armed half the world's conflicts. Philanthropist facade, donations to anti-suicide orgs. Ironic as hell. His photo, silver fox with eyes like chipped ice. The kind of man who lunch with senators, dinner with devils. On day 4, as conch shells steamed on our breakfast platter, I cracked the drive in the villa's media room. Encrypted files bloomed, Emails chaining back a decade. Dad's signature on the first dirty deal. Hale had groomed Ethan as a pawn, Lila as distraction,
Me as the fall guy.
the suicide gun, traced to Hale's private collection, planted via a fixer. And the rebirth? Coincidence? Or his neurotech side hustle, experimental memory therapy he'd peddled as a cure for trauma. I'd been a test subject in absentia. Whispers of a clinic in Zurich where consciousness was rebooted. Paranoia peaked. Had death uploaded me? Or was it just fate's cruel joke? I confided in the group that night. Bonfire crackling on the beach. Stars pricking the velvet sky like accusations. This isn't over, I said. Voice steady despite the tremble. Jamal, then we end it. Together. Mrs. Ramirez, no more solo. Oakley. We're bored now. Aunt Rosa, vengeance is the Lord's. But justice? That's ours. Their loyalty anchored me. A far cry from Blood's Blade. We plotted over pina coladas, leaked the drive to the Times. Lupin feds via Jamal's journalist hookup. Controversial? Leaking classified drone ties to fraud could spark international shitstorms. But Hale's empire preyed on the vulnerable. Mine would topple it. Back in NYC a week later, tanned, tempered, I executed. The leak dropped like a bomb. Billionaire's shadow empire. Drones. Dirty money. And a dead woman's secrets. Front page. With my anonymized quotes. Hale's response was swift. Smears. Pundits on Fox called it feminist revenge porn. MSNBC spun. Whistleblower heroism. Controversy raged. Petitions to boycott Hale Dynamics. Congressional hearings. I went underground, crashing at Jamal's Bushwick loft. Windows taped against drones, literal and figurative. Tension peaked in a Soho safe house. Courtesy of Mrs. Ramirez's old NYPD contacts. Hale's fixer circled. Burned out sedans tailing. Voicemails in distorted gravel. Walk away. Ms. Harper. Or join your first ghost.
Sleep?
A luxury. Nightmares blended timelines. The Hamptons shot. Maldives waves turning red. But the chosen family rotated watch. Jamal with bad action flicks. Aunt Rosa's empanadas. Mrs. Ramirez's tarot readings. The tower falls. But the star rises. Climax brewed in D.C. The hearing. I testified under oath. Drive's contents projected for the panel, senators stone-faced. Cameras flashing. Hale sat opposite. Armani's suit crisp. Gaze locked like a targeting system. Ms. Harper, he drawled. Accent polished Oxford.
Your.
Accusations stem from personal vendetta. A jilted lover's tale. The room tittered. I felt the old fracture. But I leaned in. Personal? You mean the gun you supplied to stage my suicide? Or the accounts you hid behind my name?
Gasps.
Evidence scrolled, irrefutable. His mask cracked. Just a hair. Speculation. But the feds had moved. Raids on Hale Dynamics. Arrests rippling.
Ethan.
From his cell. Testified remote deal sweetened. Spilling Hale's ops. Lila? Crumbled in interrogation. Trading secrets for leniency. Dad faced indictments in absentia. Fleeing to the Caymans. Mom? Finally called. Voice cracking. Oakley? I didn't know. Too late. The twist gut-punched mid-hearing recess. A note slipped under the green room door. You think this ends me? It's just beginning. Check your blood. Hale's smirk as we filed out. Back in the hotel. A blood test, rushed. Discreet, revealed it Elevated markers. Slow poison from a gift bottle at the villa. His parting shot. Administered via tainted cork. Doc said weeks. Maybe months. Rebirth's gift. Revoked. Rage or release. I chose fight. Final decision. Most controversial. Confront him. No cops. No leaks. Just us. I flew to his Adirondacks compound. Snow-glazed fortress. Bluffing a settlement with forged docks. Security waved me through. Hale's arrogance. His Achilles. Inside. Roaring fire. Leather-bound tomes. Him in a wingback. Scotch in hand. MS. Harper. Persistent. I didn't sit. It's over. Marcus. Empire crumbles. He chuckled.
Low.
Empires adapt. Like you, back from the brink. The admission. He'd funded the clinic. Hoped to reprogram threats like me. But death defied code. Why me? I pressed. His eyes gleamed. You were pure. Unbreakable. Breaking you? Art. The poison burned my veins. Vision blurring. But I played my ace, the live feed. Jamal. Hacking from afar. Broadcasting to the hearing feed. Every word. Every confession. Beamed live. Hale lunged, too late. Feds breached minutes later. His roar echoing as cuffs clicked. I collapsed in the snow. Sirens a lullaby. Hospitals. Chemo. The chosen family's vigil. Ending? Not tragic, but tempered. Hale's trial made headlines, life. No parole. Ethan and Lila, decades apiece.
Dad, extradited. Mom.
Reconciling. Tentatively. Over prison visits.
Me?
Remission after months. Scars like badges. The Maldives villa? Sold. Proceeds to suicide prevention. Irony reclaimed.
Now.
2 years on. I walk Brooklyn Heights brownstones, not Ethan's dream. Mine. Freelance empire. Auditing for the underdogs. Jamal's my partner in crime fighting, not romance. Mrs. Ramirez mentors my protégés. Aunt Rosa plans grandkid-level feasts. Blood ties frayed, but chosen, ironclad. Rebirth taught, revenge isn't erasure, it's evolution. I died betrayed, rose vengeful, lived redeemed. And in quiet moments, watching sunsets gild the East River, I whispered to the ghost I was, we made it. Oak. No more shadows.